I'm Maud. I'm here with the black metal artist agency, and we're having Andy from the Scottish black metal band Saor. And today I'm very, very happy to have him with me, as I'm a big, huge fan of Saor. And for 9 years, I discovered the band while I was living in Scotland, actually. And that's why I was so moved by the music, and as it resonated in my heart, in my soul, with where I was actually living in, and it's still the music still with me all those years, even if I don't live there anymore. So having Andy is an honor, and I'm very, very happy. Hi, Andy.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having me. Um, Saor's music has always been deeply rooted in Scottish history, nature, and sorrow. How do you balance the personal elements of your life and the broader cultural and historical themes that you explore in your music?
See, I told you before this interview, your questions are so deep. um, I guess it's always been part of my life, the landscape and the nature, because I live here and I live very close to. I live maybe 2 hours away from like Glencoe, maybe less, and I'm always surrounded by amazing landscapes and nature. So it's always been part of my life growing up here. And when I was younger, go with my friends and play in the woods and stuff. And as I got older, I appreciated the the landscapes a bit more. I think from when I was maybe a teenager, especially when I was a teenager, because I remember when the Lord of the Rings films came out, and that really opened my eyes to there's epic landscapes like this in my own country. So that was the kind of start of me appreciating the Scottish landscape and the nature. And I've always been interested in the history as well. We didn't really get taught a lot about Scottish history in school. So it was definitely after like leaving school that I had an interest in my country's history. I'm still learning to this day about things. I wouldn't call myself, a professional historian, but I have a interest in it, and I've always been fascinated by history in general. So as I said, in school they never taught you this kind of stuff. You would just get British history. World War Two and all that kind of stuff, which is interesting, but it's nice to learn about your own history as a country. And um, yeah, and also I would say that uh, being in nature, it's just feels natural to me. And I'm not a big fan of busy cities and busy places, so it's nice to go there and recharge and clear your mind, I guess.
Absolutely. So you're mentioning history, Scottish history. Um, do you have any particular events that touches you?
Hmm. Um, I've recently been reading about the Picts. Well, in the last few years, I've been reading about them, and obviously, there's not a lot of stuff out there about them, to be honest, because we don't really know much about them. I guess is a sort of mystery about them. So that's quite interesting, because I always liked learning about Rome and Romans and all that kind of stuff when I was younger. So that's kind of something I'm quite interested in. And um, I've always loved going to in Skye. You've been to Skye, obviously, so they've got the standing stones. They're the Pictish stones, sorry.
Yes.
And I love the fact that they're still standing with the carvings. It fascinates me that they've been standing for that long. So yeah, that's quite a interesting part of history. But I don't have any like other specific times in history that I'm obsessed with, to be honest. Obviously, I like reading about the Wars of Independence and stuff like that, and William Wallace, not the Braveheart William Wallace, by the way, the the real William Wallace, and Robert the Bruce and all that kind of stuff's very interesting. And I guess there's also I'm interested in World War II and all that as well. So there's all kinds of different historical times that I'm interested in. But with Saor, I kind of focus on the kind of more ancient history, the Picts and all that kind of stuff, and also the more around the times of the Wars of Independence, that kind of stuff. But so on this new album, I actually wrote a song about the Glencoe massacre. Well, not directly; it's influenced by it. Glen of Sorrow. So that was something I knew about, but I didn't know a lot about. I didn't know a lot of information about it. So writing that song was quite interesting for this album. Yeah.
In your earlier works, you used a lot of traditional Scottish instrumentations. Can you talk about your approach to blending folk and black metal? All these elements interact to create the unique atmosphere of Saor.
Blending the instruments, the genres, I guess, was just kind of natural. Like obviously growing up here, being around the folk music since a young age, it just seemed very natural to me. When I was younger, I liked listening to the Scandinavian bands and stuff like that would mix their like the metal with their culture, with their folk instruments, and they used to sing about their history and their mythology and stuff like that. And I always just wondered why there wasn't a Scottish band doing that, because I think we've got enough interesting history and amazing landscapes and our own culture, our own music, and our own instruments. So that was kind of why I decided to do this music, and yeah, I think it works pretty well.
Yes.
And I've always been like a big fan of, as I said, bands sort of like Vindia from Norway, who are really huge influence for me, and they mix the folk stuff without it being folk metal, like cheesy almost. Like I like the fact that it's still got its roots in black metal. I think like with Saor as well, I mix it quite well that the folk isn't too imposing on the songs. Like the it's there at the right time, and it's balanced quite well, I think. So yeah, just try and weave it in naturally into the mix. And my background's black metal as well. I grew up listening to black metal, and it's always, I guess, going to be part of my songwriting. I don't approach Saor as a black metal project, to be honest with you. I understand that it's a tag that's given to us, but I like to think that it's got different genres mixed in to it. There is black metal, but there's folk. There's the more what would you say, symphonic element with the sort of soundtrack-esque kind of stuff. And there's also the atmosphere parts, which you could say are kind of more leaning towards post-rock type stuff. So, yeah, the reason I think it works as well is because the black metal is so extreme, so fast, and then it's the more melodic, softer instruments like complementing it. So yeah, I think that's why the sound works so well.
When I was back in Scotland, and most of the people are listening to folk music, and I met so many folk bands over there. And did you get into black metal? If you don't mind me asking.
How did I get into black metal? Well, when I was a teenager, when I was in school, I liked all the mainstream bands like Metallica and all that kind of stuff. And my friend at school was really into death and black metal, and I hadn't really listened to a lot of it. And he gave me a loan of like some CDs at school, like the kind of more mainstream bands, if you want to call them that, like Cradle of Filth and all that kind of stuff. And I really liked it. And from then, obviously, he was like slowly but surely giving me the more underground stuff. And then he's like, Dark Throne, boom, there you go. listened to this and I was like, holy shit, what is this? And I think with that genre, you either get it or you don't, and something just clicked, and I was like, well, this is what I want to listen to. I want to listen to more of this. So then I dug deeper into the more underground bands, and also checked out the other classic albums as well: Mayhem, Burzum, Immortal, Emperor, all those kind of bands. And yeah, that's how I got into it, and I really really love Druka from Ukraine. They're still one of my favorite black metal bands. And I always preferred the bands that were more historical in theme and a bit more leaning towards folk. I know Druka maybe has a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of folk in it, but I was more interested in the historical bands and the more folk-based bands rather than the satanic stuff. Personally, I think the satanic stuff, I kind of outgrew it, and I know people still like that stuff, but I just don't really. It doesn't do anything for me anymore. Even though I still enjoy Dark Throne and Emperor and all the early stuff, I really appreciate it, and it was of its time. But yeah, I've always enjoyed the more the bands that focus on nature and focus on landscapes and focus on history and focus on like personal themes even, rather than the dark scary bands. Yeah.
So, and your music paints vivid landscapes through sound. Can you share a particular place in Scotland that has inspired you the most, and how that location is reflected in your music? You were telling me about Glencoe.
Well, yeah, Glencoe, I guess, is one of my favourites because around that time when I started to sort of notice the nature around me and appreciate it, when I was a teenager, driving through Glencoe, I'm guessing you've driven through Glencoe,
Many times.
you just every single time, like I've probably driven up that road hundreds of times, and still to this day, when you drive through it, the weather changes, the mood changes, but just the epicness of seeing the mountains, seeing the landscape, it's it's dramatic, isn't it? It's so I guess that place has a special place in my heart, I guess. And if you look at the first album, Roots, you can see that Glencoe it's the paintings after Glencoe. It's a kind of more fantasy version of Glencoe, but it's influenced by it. And Isle of Skye, obviously, we spoke about that earlier.
Yes.
My dad has a place up there, and I love how peaceful it is and how secluded it feels. It's like going back in time almost.
Yes, definitely.
And you can kind of feel that in my music as well. It's an escapism. The best place to listen to my music would be Isle of Skye at the edge of the world, with the headphones on, like just looking out to a landscape, or driving through Glencoe. Those are two places that I really love. But we have so many beautiful places. You'd be here all day listing all these amazing landscapes and places.
I did that actually. I took a long hike in the Cullins Mountains,
Nice.
the Isle of Skye, and I was listening to shore while walking, and it was just so amazing. So okay.
Good. That's the intention.
So you've mentioned that shore is described as Caledonian metal. Could you explain what is this term means to you and how it influences your creative process?
Well, I decided to use that term because it's a little bit tongue in cheek, I guess. It's like, the romantic Latin name for Scotland, and I think it just describes the music perfectly. I didn't want people to come in to listen to my music and think, oh, this is going to be like cult, dark, black metal. It's not. But as I said, it is influenced by it, and it has elements of black metal in it. But I don't want people to think that. So I decided Caledonian metal was quite quite a tongue-in-cheek way to say, Scottish death metal, and you're going that, it does exactly what it says on the box, I guess. So yeah, that's the only reason I came up with that name, and it's good for giving the band a uniqueness, I guess, out of all the other bands in the genre.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Shore's music has an ethereal, melancholic quality. How do you balance the sadness and sorrow in your work with moments of hope or transcendence?
God, I don't know how to answer this one. I don't really overthink these kind of things.
Okay.
I just basically, sit down, write music, and hope for the best. Sometimes the sorrowful moments lead to like the more uplifting elements as well in the music. So it's hard. It's really hard to put into words, I
Okay.
guess. It is ethereal. It's melancholic, but as upbeat as well sometimes, I guess. And that's just the way I write, and it's a completely natural process for me to do that.
That's great.
I hope that answers okay.
That's perfect. So your albums often touch on deep personal emotions as well as broader societal or environmental issues. Or do you keep a balance between those two aspects without letting either dominate the tone of your music?
I mean, you're saying environmental issues and stuff, but I don't really consider my music to have those issues in it, or like really many like modern day issues. To be
Okay.
honest, it's
Yeah.
for me, it's like an escape from all of that. It's meant to be an escape from the modern world, modern life. It's you might put your headphones on and be taken away somewhere else, away from all this kind of stuff. I'm not saying I don't have any concerns about the environment. I don't like preachy bands that talk about these kind of things.
Okay.
Personally, I use my music as a kind of escapism, as I said. I don't want to make any kind of like statements in that way, like about environmentalism and all that kind of stuff. It's for me, it's just about the music's just about, and the lyrics are creating a mood, an atmosphere.
Mm-mm.
Um, and also, you said like the personal emotions. They're definitely in my music. Obviously, like I've got the connection to the nature and landscapes and the history. Obviously, being born here and growing up here and
Uh-huh.
learning about all this stuff. So yeah, that's in my music. But environmental kind of issues aren't really part of what I do.
Yeah, you answered a lot of my questions with this one, so that's perfect.
Oh no.
So looking back at your discography, how do you feel the band sound has evolved, and what are the most important lessons you've learned along the way?
Well, the how I've evolved. Um, I guess that the production and stuff like that's improved over the years, and I just really I've learned to structure songs better, I would say. From the early days, I feel like some stuff was quite at the earlier stuff could kind of go on a bit in terms of repeating itself. So I feel like I've learned to structure the songs a little bit better, and yeah, I just feel like I've grown as a musician, obviously, and yeah, I don't know. I actually completely forgot the rest of the question, to be honest with you. I'm just rambling on.
No, it's about the evolution of your sound.
Yeah, I guess I just don't want to make the same album twice, and obviously use obviously work with different guest musicians every album. I think that's a really important uh, factor in the evolution because every album's different. as well. You know, if I'm using different guest musicians, they're bringing something different to the table every time. So that's a big thing, and also like the artists that I work with for the artwork, it's been different people every time as well, and yeah, so that's part of the evolution of the band too, I guess. But yeah, I just hope I can improve every album, and yeah, just focus on that.
That's very interesting to me because you have a lot of collaborations with musicians and illustrators as well, and but you still keep the same ambience. You still have the Shore personality, um, looking up for everybody, and
Yeah,
I think
I
it's amazing.
I guess I
So
can't. I guess I've got my own sort of trademark on my sound that it's quite kind of hard to deviate from your own songwriting process, the way you write. So yeah, I've always just, as I said in the previous album, I've always loved that. The atmosphere was always the biggest thing for me. As long as there's a good atmosphere in music, I usually enjoy it. So yeah, and as I said, the production values as well. I mean, the earlier albums, I think like Aura and Roots and Guardians, they've got their place, and I know people like them, and they like the kind of rough production to them, the more underground quality, and I get it. But I've always wanted to make the best sounding album I can, and due to the lack of money, I couldn't do that in the early. And it gives it a bit of I guess it gives those albums a bit of nostalgia, a little bit of rawness to it, and people like that. But I mean, back in the day, if I had the money to, record Aura with a thousands and thousands of pounds budget, I would have recorded it better, and it would have made it sound better. So yeah, so as you can hear on the new album, the production's a huge step up from those albums, uh, but in terms of the mix and the master. So that's definitely one of the evolutions of the band, is being able to afford to actually mix and master it properly, I guess.
you have like incredible collaborations on the new album as well. So, how did you approach all those people? And I have this particular question about Joe Quell because I'm a very big fan of her work.
The collaborations, Ella plays live with us. She does all the folk instrumentations, and she's been with the band for a few years now. And she does the female vocals, the tin whistle, the bagpipes, all that kind of stuff. Um, I actually asked her before the album was out if she would like to be on it and work with me, and she was really excited to do that. She wrote some of the stuff on it. I wrote some of the stuff, and we both collaborated on stuff. We had a few video calls. We sent a few ideas. Sometimes I would have a lead guitar part, and she might have sent me the same melody with the tin whistle, and I think, oh, that sounds better with the tin whistle. I'll take the lead out. Other times she sent me ideas. What do you think of this part? And does this fit? And oh yeah, that's really good. So let's use that. So it was a collaboration with her, and she did a really really amazing job. Carlos, the drummer, he was on Forgotten Paths, the album Forgotten Paths. He's just basically I write the drums on demo, and he basically humanizes them and makes them make sense because I'm not a drummer. And he did an amazing job. He added so many cool things to this album, and the drumming's one of the highlights of the album, I guess. Who else is on it? Now I need to think.
You have like Angela
Yeah, yeah,
Moyesur.
yeah. Angie, she did all the composing for the string parts, the more soundtrack esque kind of stuff. We just had video calls. I described to her what I was looking for, what I was influenced by. She sent me some ideas. We were back and forth for a while, and then she recorded it over the demos that I'd written. So she did an amazing job as well. And then we've got Joe Quayle, who I literally just emailed her and just said, "Listen, I love your music, and I've seen you live." And she'd worked previously with Winterfilliff, my friends in Winterfilliff, so I knew of her through that, and she agreed, and I sent her the acoustic track and said I'm looking for some cello on this, but what she sent back was just mind blowing because she did all her kind of loops and effects and all the experimentation, and it really brought the level of the track up, I think, because she just added all this atmosphere to it. She added this, just something was missing, and she definitely made it sound full and whole. And yeah, I just love that, the way she uses effects, the way she loops things. I saw her live at Inferno festival, and that was the best gig of the festival for me because,
Oh, wow.
well, one, it wasn't metal, and it was something. It was completely different. And yeah, so and it was really good, and she was so helpful, and she was such a nice, she's such a nice person as well. So she was really easy to work with.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you released only 2 tracks for Amidst the Ruins, the new album, and still I can feel there's something. Well, you told me about production, but the sound has evolved. The sound is different. I don't know if it's Ella's contribution with her vocals, or I don't know. There's something that really differs from your previous works.
Yeah, I guess that working with different people, it changes the sound. As I said, it changes the atmosphere of the record. So they definitely have. That's probably why it sounds a bit different. And also, like every album is different. Everywhere, every time I approach it, it's different. And I mean, the previous album, Origins, probably it sounds like me, but it's very different to this album because it's shorter songs. It's more kind of focused on the heavier riffs. It's less focused on the atmosphere. There's not a lot of blast beats on it. It's less black metal in general. This one's a bit more black metal than that one, black metal influenced even. So yeah, every album is different because of the people I work with and just whatever headspace I'm in, I guess. But with Roots, when I wrote Roots, the first album, I did go in thinking I'm going to write an atmospheric black metal album with some folk elements, and then from there on, it got less and less. The idea of it being completely black metal got less and less for me. It was just writing music, good music that I enjoy. But it's always stayed with me. Obviously, I'm still a black metal fan, and there definitely is the influence there.
The album title, Amidst the Ruins, evokes a sense of decay and reflection. Can you dive deeper into the significance of this title and how it ties into the lyrical themes of the album?
So the album title, so I was out walking like a year ago or something like that, maybe more, and I was just walking through. I was hill walking, and I was walking through like ruins of an old cottage or an old barn or something like that. I don't know what it was, to be honest. And it just kind of came to me like walking amidst the ruins. I think I was just in my head thinking of ideas or whatever. And I was like walking amongst the ruins, and I thought amidst the ruins. All right, I actually said amongst the ruins first. I thought amongst the ruins, that's a really cool album title. And I said to my pal, like, do you think that's a good album title? He's like, yeah, that's a good album title, but I'm sure Primordial's got an album called that. And I went, what? And I think it's called Exile Amongst the Ruins. And I was like, damn. I was like, okay. So I said, I still like Amongst the Ruins, and then I changed it to Amidst the Ruins because a kind of similar idea, and it's not completely ripping them off. But yeah, that's kind of how I came up with the album title. And obviously, it's like represents, like the physical ruins of the past, the passage of time, I guess, the decay of people who were there before, I guess. And I also think it has a double meaning because I see like nowadays society as kind of being amidst the ruins of a great society because I feel nowadays it's getting worse and worse for people. You know, their attention spans are terrible. They're sitting on smartphones constantly. They're not interested in history or anything, interested in celebrities, and they're obsessed with all this kind of bullshit. And I think that's the double-sided meaning of the album. It's amidst the ruins physically and amidst the ruins in general and in life. And that's kind of how I came about with the album title and why I stuck with it. Because after I came up with the album title, I wasn't sure if I was going to use it, but I think once that idea comes to you, it never leaves. So I just went with it, and I'm happy I did.
So the album is set to release in February now, actually. What is the actual date?
Tomorrow, 7th.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, I guess this interview will be aired next week. So the album is
last week.
will be already out.
Yeah, it was out last week.
So do you have anything else to say to our viewers? Do you want to add something to our conversation?
Just hope you enjoy the album. I hope that you can come and see us live as well. We're playing a lot of shows this year. Obviously we're playing in Glasgow and on Saturday for the album launch, which will be cool. And then we're playing a few UK dates, and after that we've got an 11-day tour in Europe. We're playing a lot of countries. We're playing Within the Woods, Imperium Decadence, and Canbard. So that's going to be a good lineup of bands. And yeah, in the future we're playing some festivals. We've got other things. We're going to arrange other things. So hope you can see us live, and hope you can pick up some merch along the way as well.
And I'll see you someday in Montreal.
Oh yeah, hopefully. I'm sure we played Montreal before. I think we played in 2019.
Oh yes, I wasn't in Montreal yet. Oh,
yeah. I think that's where we played. Don't quote me on that. We did play there. In 2019, we were doing a North America tour.
Oh wow!
I hope we can come back. It would be good.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for today.
No problem. Thanks.
And congratulations on the new album. It's wonderful.
Thank you very much.